Good morning, Marcel. Welcome to Yachting USA.
Good morning, Rick. Nice for having me. I'm really honored.
It's nice to be here.
I watch all your podcasts. So
thank you. It's nice to be here in your home country.
Yeah.
Here we are at the Rye Center, Guests of Metstrade 2025. I again extend my thanks and gratitude to the organizers of Metstrade for providing us this wonderful studios to work from and the hospitality that they provided us all week. It's been a real pleasure. And I have to say that the Mets this year is bigger and better than ever. Oh my goodness, it is
huge.
A full facility.
It's huge, Rick.
Last night when I was trying to get out of this facility to find you for dinner, I got lost twice. I had been at an event towards the back of the facility and I walked out and it's like, right or left? Which way we're gonna go?
Choose the wrong one.
Yeah, no, well, I was on time though. So Marcel, your business, OEM Yacht Service.
Yeah.
Our connection goes way back, many years, back to when I was doing business in the Netherlands quite a lot, building equipment and then having to find people to help service it. Your business is exactly that. Your business is about helping companies find the service providers they need for taking care of the products after they've been put in the field.
That's it, everything that moves on board, cranes, hatches, platforms, gangways, name it. Everything that's
load-bearing cantilevered structures.
Sorry?
Load-bearing cantilevered structures.
Exactly, all those kind of things.
Right.
All the things you used to do.
All the things I used to do.
That's where we know each other from, right?
I know, it's great. It's great. And of course, we've just been friends in the industry for so long. You come over to South Florida, we get together, do a little bit of boating, a little bit of dining.
That's the best part, actually.
It is fun, isn't it?
That's
It's
what
the
we're
human.
for.
I talk about that in our industry. People stay in this industry for a very long time. It's a profession of, I tell people, relationships. It's really what it is. It's relationships that you bring your professionalism into.
Yeah.
And you maintain good relationships, you maintain good friendships, you get the foundation of your business.
It's all about that. It's not about knowing the market. I mean, we all are doing the same thing. We have the same purpose, and that's making sure those yachts around keep on floating and keep on being used.
Absolutely. So one of the reasons I thought it'd be interesting to talk to you is I have been in many conversations for this last year. I've interviewed CEOs of European shipyards. I've talked to project managers. I've talked to captains. There is a migration of vessels that leave the United States and come across the Atlantic Ocean into Europe, typically the Mediterranean, or into the Netherlands for refit services, which is understandable. It gives me the conversation to have with my U.S. friends about investments in our U.S. infrastructure and the need to have more investments and a little more focus on infrastructure to keep some of the work in the States. You are traveling from the Netherlands to the United States quite frequently. I find I find you in U.S. shipyards doing business in the States. And I think it's interesting that you have that perspective as well, that you have business over on the other side of the pond.
A little bit, not too much. I mean, there is quite some companies around in the US and in the south of the US, of course, that we collaborate with. So we try to limit our movements across the pond as little as possible. I mean, having an engineer, which is a profession that is really rare at the moment and hard to find. Good engineers, you want to have them spending their hours on things doing what they're good at and not sitting in an airplane or traveling.
That's a good point.
And so we try to collaborate with the US. There's a vision about that, of course.
Right.
And that's actually why we, 5 years ago, started OEM Yacht Service, because we had a certain vision. But
talk to me about that vision. I think it's important. And I think people listening to this podcast will find what you're doing interesting and your thought process about this interesting.
Well, the funny thing is that we're here at the Mets now. It's day 4. Right? You were in the Superyacht Forum as well, I think.
Yes.
So there was a lot of seminars and keynotes, and they were all talking about, of course, environment is an important thing, but also about collaboration and working together. And that's a very nice conversation. So 5 years ago with OEM, I started that with an old colleague of mine. We both come from the Fed Ship Group. Yeah, you know that, of course. That's where we know each other from.
That's right.
And we see all these people flying around the world from the Netherlands and from Germany and from Italy and flying everywhere to service their fleet. And we always thought, and we talked with clients about that as well, with yachts, and would you be interested in having a service center close by? I mean, if you're in the Met, if there's a service center that's also based here, who collaborate or who are together.
Right.
Would you use that? Yeah, it would be great because then we don't have to pay all those money and for traveling and lodging and all the costs for bringing somebody to the other side.
Right.
Same for boats that come here. If they want to use people from America, they have to fly them in. So with that in mind, Oscar, who's my business partner, 5 years ago, we said, maybe we should offer that service. But how can we do that? So we started to talk with a lot of OEM companies based in Holland and other countries as well. And we said, what would you think? And we went to OEM companies who are not that big.
Right.
Not the huge ones, but a little bit smaller ones who don't have the capacity to open a center in France or in Florida, or just who don't have enough clientele to pay for that cost.
To justify the overhead.
So we said, we talked to all these smaller companies. We set up a company called OEM. All companies that have some kind of,
synergy.
There's in the technical aspect, there is an overlap.
Right. Yep.
So we can educate engineers locally with the knowledge of the OEM companies.
Right.
We invite the OEM companies to step into our company because we know trust is important. People are afraid to share their knowledge. They want to keep control of it.
Yes.
They want to keep control of their clients. So we said, okay, if we all come together in one group, we do this with these small. Everybody was happy. Everybody said, go for it. So then we started that company 5 years ago. We said, okay, let's take off. And actually one company committed, but all the others said, oh yeah, great, you're doing that. Thanks, Marcel. And thanks, Oscar. We'll call you when we need you.
Oh.
We're like, okay. And in the meantime, we opened an office in Barcelona, in number 92, which we still have.
Right.
We're still there. And we collaborate, of course. But they left us a bit
high and dry.
Yeah, we were all really ready to start. And suddenly it was, we'll call you when we're ready. It's like, oh, wait.
So it sounds like
it didn't work.
It had to put you into a pivot mode, a kind of reinvention from that.
Well, it didn't work, and for many reasons, which I understand. But we were very, we thought everybody would be happy, but it wasn't. And everybody kept on doing what they were doing, flying all over the world.
Right.
And of course called us when they had a little problem or had some eyes on board. But of course that doesn't pay the bills if
OEM was a backstop.
Yeah, it was a bit of if you're in trouble, you can call them. And so after about half a year, 3/4 of a year, we made up the calculations. Said, well, we can't live from this. I mean, it's a great idea, but obviously, the market is not ready for that yet. What to do? What to do? So I remember with Oscar, we were in the Dubai Boat Show, and we were on the last moments of trying to find collaborations. And a few hours before we were traveling back to Holland, we said, what should we do? In the meantime, an old friend of mine, a programmer who used to be a yacht equipment programmer in the past, who really a name which a lot of people know, at Kroon and Wout, he joined us as a programmer, PLC programmer. And we said, what to do? And then we said, if nobody's waiting for this, and we have the name OEM Yacht Service, we might as well start to think of creating a product which is needed in the market, because we learned that year. We saw in the yachts what was needed. There's a lot of boats sailing around with obsolete PLCs and control systems, and 15 years old. We said that might be a market that is needed, that's coming up, and PLCs are breaking down. If they break down, they are in trouble for a longer time. So maybe so we started to talk.
Right. Well, you were talking to me last night as we're preparing for this interview, and a very special project that I was deeply involved in at Delta Marine, the building of the motor yacht Laurel.
Yeah.
And it was funny you mentioned it because you were telling me that you created a control system for the Passerelle that my company, Nautical Structures, built for Laurel. Right. and I thought it was ironic because we were all proud of the fact that we built this Passerelle designed around not using PLCs, and circumstances and technology changes and use of vessel changes come along, and they ask you, Marcel, can you help us enhance the way this gangway works? And you came in and built a control system for the Passerelle, right?
It's a big step because we just finished that. That's right. But the funny thing is, your system worked for 20 years. Right. It still worked when we took it out.
Right.
So congrats for that.
Well, thank you. It worked as designed, right?
Exactly.
But I think what I'm hearing here too is, and this is important to those that are a bit entrepreneurial, those who are wanting to start out on their own with their own businesses, like I have done many times, like so many people have done, there's always that fear of failure. And then I tell people, well, listen, failure is the first step towards success sometimes. It's necessary to understand what works, what doesn't work. You should not fear the failure, because when you hit those things like that moment, that aha moment you had in Dubai.
Well, it was an aha moment, but of course we still had to pick it up.
But it gives you that impetus, sometimes that kick in the butt. Sometimes you need to say, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to turn off the lights, or are we going to do something different, change the approach, the vision, and readjust? And that readjustment puts you where you are right now on a pathway to success.
The cool thing about it is that we sat together with Ed, the program, and said, listen, would you like to create a whole new program from scratch? Because everybody's using programs which started 15 years ago, and they're building on top of it, So he said, yeah, I would love to. I said, how long would that take? He said, I don't know. I said, well, let's make a plan. And we made a plan. We made a big box of Lego. Lego, the
Legos.
Lego, yeah. The Lego blocks. Can you make a box with pieces of Lego and have a client calls and says, listen, I have a boarding ladder. And he sends you the drawings that you can say, okay, I take this piece, that piece, and 80% of the program is ready.
Right.
And I can engineer.
The 20%.
Engineer the hardware.
Oh, okay.
And then, with that 20% left, you can program quickly.
I see what you're saying.
Because it's all about timing in service and refit. We don't have 4 years like in a new build.
No.
They want it yesterday.
Yeah, you think? Yeah.
So we limited with that we can offer not every PLC controller, but within 1.5 months, we can do a lot.
Right. Well,
and that is something unique, I think. And that took off. I mean, the guy who made this program, we made the whole infrastructure around it to be quickly. We do everything in-house. And that guy from day one, the moment we released the program, fully booked.
Wow.
So that's going well.
That's awesome.
And with that, we step on board. And with that, we also get involved with hydraulics because, once you're on board, could you look at that as well? So now we are, against all odds 5 years ago, are a full grown-up service and refit company for yacht equipment of all brands.
I love it, yeah.
And that's where we are. But I'm still very interested in collaboration because that was the main goal.
Right.
And we hope with going around now, we interest companies saying, listen, this is a full-grown company. We can lean on them because they know that we still have in our head our initial plan.
Right.
And I still hope we can manage that. So when there's people around, give me a call.
Well, it's interesting parallel. So, for instance, those that know me know that being a host of a podcast like this is different. After 40 years in the business, in manufacturing and yacht management and project management and consulting, all of a sudden, Rick is behind the camera and a microphone. Well, what the fuck is that, right?
I told you yesterday, I really think that's cool.
Well, it is cool. I love it because I'm having this opportunity to talk to people like you, people I've known for years and decades, interesting new people I've never met before. I met a gentleman last night. The guy is, I think the guy is 29 years old, but he looks like he's 19.
Oh, you're talking about me?
Yeah.
All right.
But, he's new in the industry, and it was fun to kind of mentor him for a few minutes about coming into this industry. But for instance, when I started Yachting USA with Yachting International Radio, I knew fundamentally that I was starting something that had initially no value. It's brand new, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I've got to find a way to monetize this and make it so that I can do this, yet I don't have a product yet. So I knew for the first year, almost everything I was going to do is going to be on me, because until I had a portfolio of conversations and a track record and something that people could listen to or watch and go, oh, that's what Rick's doing. That's cool. There's no value.
Added value.
Yeah. Fast forward this week, I think you're my 98th interview since I started. Joey Meme, I believe, is going to be my 100th interview later today. So close. But think about that. So in 2 years, we publish one a week.
Yeah.
Now I've got a portfolio of 100 interviews. And if you look at the guest list, it's diverse, but you would recognize so many of these men and women. And now there's value. Now there is something that you can look at. And so it's one of the first times I've told this story actually on camera, because when I talk to entrepreneurial people and we talk about getting into business or starting a business, and it gets scary, and you get to these points where like, is this really going to work? I'm putting so much energy and effort and love into this, and I believe in it, but it's fine, but I can't pay myself. I've got to have other people believe in it. And I would say that if you are passionate about it, or you truly believe in what you're doing, you should, just focus on delivering a value, a product, and you will, if you're tenacious enough and if you stay at it long enough, you'll be successful.
It's all about time.
It is
staying out there and show people that you are relevant and that
right.
you have added value to the market and industry.
Absolutely. And so again, we have this kind of conversation because the people listening and watching some of these people are in the same place you are right now, Marcel. They've started a business or getting ready to start a business, and they're not sure. It's like, it's working. I think it's going to work. And you just have to, have the confidence to stay the course.
And that's difficult sometimes because people talk you out of it. But the funny thing is, when we changed our path 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, I could never believe where we are now. If you would have asked me that, I couldn't even dream of it. But we had a goal. But the dream we didn't. But it was hard to dream of. But we are there now, and now we are on this point where we are growing. Yeah, that's not a challenge.
Right.
A big challenge.
Yeah, well,
good people. I mean, we want good people.
You want good people. Then you get the other side of that coin. It's like, okay, I'm going to hire this guy and I'm going to hire this girl, and then it's like, oh, we could probably use one more, and you make that step, and all of a sudden you realize you got a payroll.
Oh yeah,
and
the overhead goes
and
up.
you have an obligation to meet that payroll,
and he has to pay his rent.
And
so you got to responsibility.
Feed the machine, right?
Yeah,
feed the machine.
Yeah, pressure on.
It is pressure on. It's the joy of being a business owner. Yeah,
the joy and the joy and the sleepless nights.
That's glamorous, isn't it? You get the ship set across the ocean.
Well, it is. It's funny, Rick, that you mention it because I see a lot of companies having, especially in the past years, because the economy in yachting went of course, went crazy. And you see a lot of companies grow, not because they want to grow, but just because the demand is there. They have a clientele, it grows.
Right.
And then they grow faster than they can keep up with skilled technicians and people. Everybody talks about project managers and the higher level, but on the skilled level, the craftsmen, that's the biggest challenge. And I think those people, in my company, those people are the most important. They're more important than me. I'm a craftsman, you're a craftsman as well. But at the end of the day, the guys on the floor need to deliver the quality.
That's right.
And we have to make sure that they get everything
You give them the tools.
But if you grow a company, it's more important to have first those guys or girls in your company because the work is there.
Right.
So what we do is, and it's sometimes risky. I just hired another couple of guys, which in the past weeks, because they are skilled, they are good. I know I can send them anywhere and they'll fix it if I've supplied them the right things.
Who'd you steal them from?
No, I didn't steal them. No, I don't steal. I mean, of course, everybody thinks sometimes that they steal because, Well, I prefer to have people from other markets, actually.
That is, if you can bring them in from other...
I have 50-50.
Good.
So I have skilled people from another market, which very much
overlaps.
And we teach them. And with that, we hope they stay with us for a long period, because that's important.
It is.
I want to keep the knowledge in the company.
It's funny, because in my previous business, Nautical Structures, after 35 years when I left, I still had welders that I'd hired 25 years earlier that had been with the company 20, 25. Mm-hmm. We had one of our electrical technicians retire after 30 years with the company. And in the United States, it's almost unheard of, but that speaks to the culture of the company.
Yeah.
And the culture of the management of the company, that the employees feel valued and are treated well and have enough job satisfaction that they want to stay in rather than move for a few dollars or a few euro salary from here to here just to get the next best paycheck. So when you have that longevity, and I see that, ironically enough, repeated in the Netherlands, probably more than most other places I travel to. Maybe Italy is a close second, where you have multi-generational
we talked
workers
about it yesterday a little bit,
in the shipyards and in these businesses.
I think that's big part of the quality they deliver.
Oh, it is. That's absolutely, because
I
you
know
have
all families who live there.
Legacy knowledge that has been established over decades that gets passed on and passed on.
Yeah. And they are honored to work there.
Of course.
They are. It's like an honor that they are able to work there and show their craftsmanship.
That's right. That's right. It is a beautiful thing, and that's where that comes from. So when you lose that, it's almost impossible to replace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it takes so long.
It takes a long time.
It takes so long. It's a value that when I talk to other business owners and we talk about the value of the people, it's way more important than the CNC machining equipment or the laser equipment or whatever.
It's a combination, I think.
Well, you can always, go to the bank and leverage and purchase another piece of equipment.
That's true.
You can't bring somebody in and automatically give them 10 years or 20 years of experience.
Yeah, but he needs the good machines to do his job.
Well, that's the collaboration. Yeah. But the people factor, I think, is so important.
Oh yeah, amazing.
So as a yacht guy, and having been involved in other businesses, and if you're talking to particularly young people who find this industry, this profession interesting, what would your advice be about coming into this business? Because we talked about your own son.
He's out of the business.
He's out of the business,
right? But he had 2 years where he learned more than he did 18 years before. So
there you have it. Yeah,
we talked about that briefly. It was a nice conversation, by the way, about the kids these days are. The world is so open and so.
It's a different world.
In Holland, I'm the last generation who went to the army. I didn't go to the army. I was actually the first one of a generation
that didn't go.
Who didn't have to go to the army.
Right.
But I was raised by a dad who went to the army. So he had discipline. He teach me discipline.
Yeah.
My generation don't teach their kids discipline anymore.
No.
So I didn't teach my son anymore the discipline my dad taught me. And I mean,
there you have it.
So I sent him off to yacht.
Right.
He came back disciplined.
Right. There's something like that it's a pathway too, because you're a young person and you're trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. You don't know. Most of the time you don't know. And while in a lot of conversations we've had this week have centered around crew welfare and mental health and things like that, there's always been something about going down to the sea. Young people, particularly young men, have historically, turned into seafarers. Explorers. And when you go on board a boat, you learn so much. You learn about working and integrating with other people, with other cultures and languages, in small spaces, high stress, sometimes dangerous environments, seeing places you've never believed of or could imagine
would exist.
It exists, right? Building friendships and relationships, making mistakes and failing occasionally and recovering from the failures and all of that stuff, the things that are human, things that we need to evolve. And I look at our profession and think to myself, whether you're an entrepreneurial individual or if you're just somebody that's trying to understand what's out there, I think there's wonderful opportunities here.
Definitely, because, for example, if you're a craftsman, if you have a specialty in hydraulics or in electrics or interior or call all the aspects which are in yachting, I think that you can't have a more challenging job.
No.
And you are, because the stakes are high and the quality needs to be 100%.
So high. Right.
So I think if you are a guy who's proud of your skills, right, this is the place to be.
Well, think about what this current generation is facing too. AI is coming into the equation. Yeah. So many professions that used to require that human touch, sitting behind a computer, at a screen, whatever, so many of the jobs are not going to be here 5 years from now. But the jobs that will be here will be the handwork that goes into building these magnificent vessels. So whether you're a pipe fitter or a welder or an electrician or a joiner worker or an interior person, a seamstress, all of this designer, engineer,
designer, I'm not sure. Might be.
Well, I hope you're wrong about that.
I hope so too. But
I was talking to Cordy Rover last night. It was an amazing Dutch designer and a perfect gentleman. And we were looking at a concept boat that he designed, and it's at the Rondell stand. And I was looking at the innovations. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that thing is just sex on the water. Really, it's amazing. And he and I are going to talk in Miami early next year, which will be fun. Look forward to Corey on this show. But, we're looking at these innovations and these technologies he's bringing forward. And that's not AI. That is decades of experience and understanding what the market wants and needs. And, so I look at things like that. I look at that human touch, that human connection to technology. I mean, this is a design, for instance, it's a wing sail that is technology taken from America's Cup design and other aviation design, brought into motor yacht, not a sailing yacht application. 50-meter vessel under 500 gross tons with huge amount of spaces in the catamaran design, retractable drives so that when they want to go under sail, the main drives retract up into the hull, but they've got these generating drives that stay in the water that power the house load and power the batteries so that the boat can run for 72 hours on pure battery power, and have zero emissions. Using hydrogen technology, all of these technologies coming together in this one platform seamlessly and visually beautifully, that is the elegance of, I think, our industry and what good design and good collaboration brings. And so that, again, is going back to talking to people coming in and trying to find out what their next career could look like. You're not competing with AI when you come into a hand-driven, craftsmanship-driven profession.
People. I had the question a few times. I mean, there's two important questions that come up all the time. That's sustainability. What are you doing with sustainability, and how is AI affecting your company?
Right.
And let's stay with the AI, because sustainability we can talk about that for days. But with AI, we have a company where we supply craftsmanship, where we supply hands, experience.
Yes.
I don't know how to change a hydraulic hose or hang an e-cabinet with AI net yet. Though in the company, if you grow bigger, there might be AI in your emailing system or in your bookkeeping system.
It's integration.
So how that's going to, I mean, we are too small for that, because we are a small company.
Right. Well, I could see, for instance,
it might happen,
in your PLC program and all that, once you've got your things established, AI could take that and
maybe a part of the planning, or, there is ways. I see it. For us, not at the moment, but I don't see it happening with the engineers.
No, it's not. So that's my point. I think young people who want to figure out what they're going to do for the rest of their life and are worried about whether or not they will be replaced.
Or go into techniques. I mean,
go into these professions, and you said it earlier. We're in an industry where we are seeing growth.
Yeah.
Right now, the last numbers I saw, we have just over 600 yachts worldwide, 35 meters and larger in construction.
Yeah, it's crazy what's happening.
There's another just over 200 yachts of that size in contract getting ready to move into construction. And of course, as they move into construction, those that are in construction start delivering. Yeah. So we have roughly a number of 800 vessels in progress coming into our new fleet, all requiring fabricators and shipyard workers and crew and all of the infrastructure to support these vessels. This is an amazing industry to look at for a future.
But I think if we're not ready yet to support what's coming,
I think
we need to work our ass off to get that ready and collaborate.
That's part of this conversation. That's one of the reasons why I even take us down this rabbit hole is, of the thousands of people that are going to listen to this, whether or not it's you or your children, that you're trying to figure out, what are we going to do? How are we going to pivot and shift with this new challenges of employment and opportunity? Take a look at the wonderful world of yachting. Because I think here in the wonderful world of yachting, which has treated me so well in my career, the opportunities are only increasing.
I tell you, I mean, I'm looking for new people all the time. And I have, of course, if there's a skilled guy coming by and he wants to join us, more than happy.
Yeah,
of course, because skilled people are rare. But also, what is very rare is young people who are talented and want to go into this market, because everybody wants to sit in the office and get his hands clean.
Yeah.
First question, I have people applying for the first things I asked if they're young is, what are your hobbies?
Good point.
And if their hobbies is working on a moped, or, if their hobbies is technical, then I know, hey, I might have somebody here who has the right mindset, attitude, because he loves what he does.
Right.
And that's, I think, the start. If you want to be successful in techniques, you need to love what you do.
That's so true.
And if I look, for example, I come from the Vetship Group. If you see the craftsmanship there, there are people 20, 30, 40 years working.
Right.
And There's people who retired who still are in the company for 1 day a week because they love what they do and they love to transfer their knowledge to new generation. And that's what we are looking for.
Well, it's funny you mention that because crazy. Know that even myself, my 16-year-old son, is behind the camera and microphones and traveling with me and look at me right now like, Dad, really? No, but it's funny. He and I've had these conversations, and he wants to ride a motorcycle. And his thought is, I want to go and find a motorcycle that I can rebuild and learn how it comes together, put it together, make it work. He builds his own skateboards. You know, he's a hands-on kind of guy. I'd like to think that came from me, but no, I think that's just how he is. And exactly that, if we can get our young people thinking about doing things, handwork, you know, getting out and engaging, it sets them up for future success.
Definitely. And you know what's funny? I mean, we came from an era where I had them. I don't know how it was for you, but I had a moped, but I didn't have the money to go to the moped store and let it be repaired. I had to repair it myself because otherwise I couldn't ride.
You learn something about cycle engines,
exactly,
didn't
you? Exactly. And you learn by failure.
That's right.
You do it wrong, you have to walk home.
I said, Dad, I screwed this one up.
Yeah, but is that happening now? We live in a society where hardly nobody does his own repairs anymore because we have enough money to pay somebody to do it.
Or it's disposable. It's broken, throw it away.
With the Chinese markets.
Oh, God.
With the mopeds. Yeah. So that's a big thing.
It is.
We have to change.
We have to change.
If we can.
Well, us old guys, we can just stir the pot a little bit.
We are dinosaurs.
Try to make the change, right? Wow. Well, Marcel, this has really been fun. I think it's been great to talk to an industry guy who's got his own entrepreneurial mindset and has started his businesses and is finding his success.
Well, thanks for having me. And I hope to see you every time around for a long time to come, that you'll be successful with your podcast, of course. And I'm pretty sure you will. You are. And all the other things you do.
Well, thank you so much. This has been just a genuine pleasure to come to your country too and share a meal with you again. And just
next time, call me a little bit earlier so I find you a better restaurant than last night.
Hey, there wasn't a line. The food was good and the company was fantastic.
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Marcel, thank you very much for joining Yachting USA.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, brother.
Thanks.
All right. And until next time, I'm out of here.
If your brand belongs in the heart of the yachting world, this is where it happens. Yachting International Radio reaches over 1 million yachting professionals and enthusiasts every month with 77 million impressions, 220,000 social followers, and 74,000 podcast subscribers. Our hosts are insiders, crew, captains, CEOs, trusted voices shaping the industry. This is targeted, high-impact advertising in a luxury niche. Visit yachtinginternationalradio.com/advertise. Your audience is already listening.